Hey guys, Sheila here from Design Files. I just wanted to put together another quick video to show you some additional tips and tricks that you can use to create realistic 3D room designs. So we had some additional questions come in from some of our members who wanted to know if it was possible to change out the flooring, to alter the walls, to just kind of change the basic shell of a space so that it could better match their client space. So the good news is that you can absolutely do that. And in this video, I'm going to show you some of the ways that you can use those empty room images and then just tweak them so that they do closely match your client space. So to begin with, one of the features that we do have in Design Files is an empty room image background library. So we do have a number of rooms here that you can take advantage of. You can drag any of these out onto your design board and use them as your backdrop. Like for instance, let's say that you wanted to use this one right here, but it's not entirely accurate for your client space. All right, so there's a couple of things that you can do. One, you can actually Google empty room images and you'll get thousands. So you can actually go ahead and have a look online and see if you can find a room that better matches your client space. But if you are going to be doing this, the one thing that I will say is that you first want to go into the tools section and you want to click on the image size options here and you want to select on large, because if you're going to grab an image from Google, you do want to make sure that it's a nice large image that you can use when you bring it into your Design Files account and drag it out onto your design board. You don't want a small image that's going to blur and pixelate as you try to scale it up. So just make sure that you're selecting from large images and you should be fine. Now, you can also choose to upload images of your client space, and you can also choose to upload renderings that you've done of your client space as well. You can do that by adding those images directly to your library, and then of course you can drag those out and use them as the backdrop for your design. But if you just want to quickly grab a basic empty room image from our library, you can do that. And I'm going to kind of go over a few tips to show you how you can completely alter this design so that it looks like your client space. So first things first, let's say that your client space looks like this, but they actually have a different color flooring in their space. So what you can actually do is you can Google wood floor and you'll get tons of options. And you can basically grab images like this and save them directly to your Design Files account and then add those images to your design boards to change out the flooring within your designs. So that's all I've really done. I've grabbed an image like this and you can either right click on these items and save them directly to your computer, at which point you can upload them into your Design Files account by uploading them right here. And when you do that, you can just drag that item out onto your design board and you can scale it into place. So in this case, I'm actually going to rotate this image because I want the floorboards to run in the appropriate position. So I'm just going to use the edge of my empty room image here as a guide to kind of square this up. And actually I don't really have to get this 100% specifically in line because I'm just going to take that distort tool and I'm going to pull on the corners of this floorboard image and we'll just scale this into place. Okay. So once you have that in place, you can just hit the apply option in your toolbar up here, and now you've got your new flooring in place. Now the other thing that you can do is, let's say that your client space is similar to this, but they've got a window right here, and they've also got a larger window right here. So what I'm going to do is, and again, all I've really done is I've gone onto Google and I have Googled window, and again, a ton of options are coming up. So I can have a look here and see if I can find a window that better suits what my client's windows look like. So I've grabbed this image right here and I save that directly to my Design Files account, and I'm just going to drag that out onto my design board now. So you'll notice right away that when you drag out this image, the white portion of the image has been removed. So it's looking a little bit like the image has been degraded. Now this is something that happens automatically in Design Files because typically, let's just pull out an item here. Let's say this chair. Now, we automatically remove that white background so that designers can get right into creating their 3D room designs without having to trace around every single item and remove the background. So in some cases, like this chair, it's perfect. It works really well. In other cases, like this window here, where you actually want to keep some of that white background in, what you want to do here is you're actually going to tweak this image. So you're going to go into the remove background option, and you're going to take this toggle and move it all the way to the left, and you're going to bring the image back in so the full image is visible. Now that I have that, I can save that. Now in this case, I've got a little bit of the background wall here that I don't want added into this image, so I'm going to remove that by cropping the image down. So I'll just, and actually if you're cropping images, you might find it easy to zoom in. If you want to do that, you can just hold down the Control key on your keyboard and hit the plus key a couple of times. Or if you're on a Mac, you would hold down the Command key and hit the plus key a couple of times. So now that I've zoomed in, I can just kind of line this up and take the portion of the image that I want. So in this case, I actually just want the inset portion of this image and the window frame. So now I'm going to zoom out. So again, I'll hold down the Control key and hit the minus key a few times. And if you're on a Mac, you would just hold down the Command key, hit the minus key a couple of times. So we'll save this. So now that I have my window, I'm just going to scale this down and I'm going to add it into place. Now, another thing, I'll just scale this up a little bit. Now let's say that my client space actually has this window also on this wall over here. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to duplicate this item. I'm going to drag it over, and I'm just going to line things up so that it's roughly in line with where the other window is sitting on the back wall here. And then I'm going to use the distort tool to angle this item so that it fits nicely on the side wall here. Now, when you're angling items on your side walls, here's something you want to keep in mind. You kind of want to think about this space and see if you can find your horizon line right in the center, okay? So when you're looking for your horizon line, you next want to kind of determine where this product is going to fit within that space. So if part of the image is below the horizon line, it makes sense that it's going to angle down. If part of the image is above the horizon line, it's going to start angling up. So that should give you a bit of a guideline for how you're going to angle this product. Another way you can look at it is, in this case, we've got two windows. Well, they should roughly be in the same position within the space. So if there is this much space between the window and the ceiling on this wall, we want to replicate that on this wall. So this corner is looking good, but this corner could probably come up just a little bit more to be more realistic. And I'm just going to kind of slide, this is going to come up a little bit more, just about there. So now that that's in place, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to pull this one down slightly. Okay, perfect. So now that that's in place, I'm going to go ahead and apply. Now, one thing that's not correct here is that you're able to see the inset part of the wall here. So if we were looking in on this room, you wouldn't be able to see this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the crop tool, and I'm going to cut out that section of the image right to the wood trim here. Save this. And now we're getting a more realistic look here. Perfect. So what's happening here is it looks like you're seeing the wall, and then the inset part is tucking in behind here. So it's a more realistic take on this window. So now that I have my windows in place, I'm going to go ahead and add in some curtains. Now you'll find for the most part when you're dealing with curtains, they're usually shot within a space, and they're usually shot kind of covering up a window. So what I like to do is I actually like to take the curtains one panel at a time. So I'm just going to use the crop tool, and I'm going to take the section of the curtain that I want. Save this. And now I'm just going to kind of scale this into place. So we'll start with this wall. I'm going to scale these curtains down, hang them where I want on the wall, so a little bit higher up from the edge of the window here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the distort tool, and I'm just going to pull on these curtains and drag them all the way down to the ground here so they are flush against the floor. So we've got a nice length to work with. And actually I'll just tuck that in just a little bit there. Okay, so now that I have that in place, I am going to apply this. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that, slide the other one in place. And once I have my curtains in place, I'm actually going to then start adding in the curtain rod so I can get a nice complete look. So all I've done is actually I've grabbed this image from online. So it's showing a section of the curtain rods. Now I'm going to again use the crop tool, and I'm just going to crop down to a specific section of this product. So I'll take this, save that. I'm going to scale it down so it's the thickness that I want, and I'm just going to zoom into my design board so I can see what's happening here. So we'll scale this down so that it's the appropriate width for this curtain. And I'm going to line it up with one of the curtain edges. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the distort tool. I'm just going to pull on this, bring it all the way across, pull on that one, bring it all the way across, and just kind of make sure that I've got the same thickness running from side to side. So that looks about accurate. I'm going to apply this. Now this curtain rod, let me just zoom out for a second here. So you can see that the curtain rod is actually sitting in front of the curtain. So what I want to do now is I'm going to select this, and I'm just going to use my layering tools up here. So I want this curtain rod to sit in front of the empty room image, but behind the actual curtain panels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this option to push the curtain rod all the way to the bottom layer, which is going to go behind the empty room image right here. And then I'm going to bring it forward one so that it is sitting in front of the empty room image, but behind the actual curtain panels. So we'll click off and you can see how that looks. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this curtain panel and I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to start adding it to this wall over here. So we're going to increase the size of this because this curtain panel is now in the foreground, so it should be much larger than the ones you're seeing in the background. So we'll just kind of roughly get this in place for where I want it to be. Scale this down just a smidge. Okay, again, I'm going to use the distort tool, and let me just zoom out here. So I'm going to use the distort tool, pull the curtain panels down so that they are flush against the edge of the floor here. So we got a nice long look, and I'm also making it work along the edge of the wall here so that it looks like a more realistic angle for the space. So we'll slide that into place. And I'm going to do the same thing up here. So we need to bring this section down a little bit, and we need to push this one up a bit so that it is working along the appropriate angles of the wall, like that. So now that I have this in place, I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. And then I'm going to duplicate this one. I'm going to scale it down and slide it into place over here. And again, I'm kind of matching up the top of my curtain here with the top of my curtain here, so everything looks like it's in the appropriate space for this particular design. Okay, so just about here. Okay, so now I need to add the curtain rod for this one right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this curtain rod, I'll duplicate that, I'm going to line it up right here with the edge of this curtain. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom in again, and I'm going to use the distort tool. So we'll bring the distort tool back in, and I'm just going to kind of slide this into place up here. Okay, right about there. So again, this curtain rod is sitting in front of the curtain panel. So we'll apply this, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my curtain rod. I'm going to push it all the way back behind the empty room image and bring it forward one. So now it'll be sitting in the appropriate place for these curtains. Okay, so let's try something else now. Let's bring in the rug. Now I'm just going to scale this into place. Now when you are adding rugs to your 3D room designs, here is a good tip. When you distort the rug to fit along the floor, what you want to do is use your floorboards as a guideline for the appropriate angle for your rug, because that's going to basically provide you with a natural placement for this rug within the space. So I'm just going to pull on these corners, and I'm going to bring this down, and I'm just going to kind of line up my rug with the edge of the floorboards so that it looks like a nice realistic angle for the final room design. So that looks pretty good. Okay, so now we can start bringing in some furniture. So let me jump into my library here. Oh, I don't need this selection. Okay, so this is the table that I'm going to bring in. Now, when you're scaling items within your design, what you want to do is you can use other elements within your room design to determine if you are scaling these items to an appropriate size. So I'm kind of using the edge of the windowsill here as a guideline. So this looks like a pretty decent size for my table. And next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start grabbing chairs that I want to bring into this design. So I really like this chair right here. Now, I grabbed this particular chair from Ethan Allen, and what was really great about this is, let's say I want to add 4 chairs to go all the way around my table. So ideally, it would be great to have the chair shot on multiple angles so that I can make this look really realistic. So when you're trying to find items that are going to fit within your designs, it's always a good idea to jump back to the retailer site and see if you can get the product shot on multiple angles. So with Ethan Allen, you actually do get it shot from the front and the side, from the opposite side. But the best part is that they actually have this 3D rotation tool, which is amazing. So you can actually rotate the chair into the position you want, and you can customize the fabric so that you're actually getting the exact version of the chair that you want. So I'm actually going to grab this fabric right here because that's what I currently have saved in my designs. So if I wanted the back version of this chair, I can now use my Add to Design Files clipper, and I can grab that specific version of the chair like that. And now I'll be able to grab the price and the additional details. So we'll just scroll down here. I'm going to grab the details, and I can decide where I want to save this item. So I'm going to save it to my main library, and I'm also going to save it to my dining room project. So we'll save the selected. And now that that's saved, I'll just jump back into the editor. I'm going to refresh my library, and you can see that I've got this version of the chair added in. Now, obviously, I've added this in because I've been doing other demos, but I just wanted to show you how this works. And of course, I can delete this item after the fact. So keep that in mind. You can always go back to the retailer site because a lot of the retailers will either do what Crate & Barrel does, where they're going to have their product shot on multiple angles on a white background, and you can grab the version that's going to be best suited for your design. Or if you're lucky, some of the vendors now are actually starting to build in this 3D rotation tool, which is just incredible because it allows you to spin the product around in the appropriate position, and then you can grab the version that you want. So Ethan Allen does this, and Lazy Boy does this, and it seems like more and more retailers are actually starting to get into this. So you should definitely always check back on the site and see if that's an option. If not, hopefully you've got something like Crate & Barrel has, and you're getting the product shot on multiple angles so you can pick the one that's appropriate for your design. So now that I have my chair in place here, I'm going to basically scale this down, and I'm going to try to align this perfectly within my space. So I need this chair to sit behind my table. So instead of pushing it all the way to the bottom layer by using the layering tools here, I'm actually going to grab the table and bring the table forward one, which will be much faster. Now, when I'm trying to determine the appropriate size for this chair, what I'm really doing is looking at the chair in relation to the table. So somebody's legs have to be able to fit underneath this table and down if they're sitting in this chair. So that's how I'm scaling this particular item. And then to ensure that it's in the appropriate position within the design, what I'm doing is I'm actually lining up the feet here for where they should basically be anchored underneath this chair. So I'll go ahead and I'll bring in the side versions of this chair. Actually, that's the gray version. I want the darker finish, which I already grabbed. So here we go. Okay, so I'm going to scale this one down as well and scale it back up. And again, what I'm trying to do here, okay, so I'm just going to scale that one slightly. So what I'm doing is I'm actually lining up that back, the front leg of this chair with the front leg of the other chair that I've already added in. So that's going to give me an appropriate position for this item within my design. And I'm also ensuring that I have enough leg space in here for somebody to basically tuck in underneath the table. Okay, so we'll just shift this down a little bit, and I'll duplicate this, flip it, slide it over here, and line it up again. And again, I'm just lining up the legs on the chairs at this point. Now, I'm going to grab the version of the chair that's shot from the back, and I'm going to slide this into place. Now, because we're dealing with perspective here and we're trying to create a realistic look, keep in mind that the chair that is in the foreground is always going to be larger than the chair that's in the background here. So again, we'll just try to line up the feet of these chairs here, and that's actually not too bad at all. Okay, Nice. So let's see, what else can we do here? Let's add a credenza or a buffet to this wall over here. So I want to show you a couple of things that you should be aware of if you're going to be adding items to the side walls. So I'm going to use this one. Now this one isn't ideal for a couple of reasons. One, it is shot within a background, which I don't want added to my design, so I'll need to remove the background. And two, it's not really shot on the appropriate angle for this space, but that's okay, we can absolutely work with this. So first what we want to do is we're going to remove the background image. So I'm going to use the background removal tool, and instead of using the auto remove tool, I'm going to use the manual one over here. Again, I'm going to hit the control, I'm going to hold the control key on my keyboard down, and I'm going to just click in a couple times on the plus key so I can get a nice large version of this product to work with. This is going to be a good thing to do when you're trying to trace out around products, because it's going to make it easy for you to see the edges of the actual product. So we're just going to quickly trace around this item, and you don't have to be 100% perfect on your points because you can always adjust them after the fact. But we'll just trace around this and completely remove the background image so that we can use this particular item in the design. And like I said, this item isn't exactly shot on the perfect angle, but we're going to use the distort tool, and I'll show you how you can tweak this product to perfectly sit along the side wall. Okay, so I've traced around my item. Now, if I need to adjust any of the points, I can always pull out the edges here, and I can just kind of line it up so that it's nice and tight with the product image. And when I have everything in place, I'm just going to zoom out here. So again, I'm going to hold down the control key and hit the minus key a few times until I'm fully zoomed out. And then I'm going to save this item. And now we've removed the background image. So now we want to line this image up so that it's going to sit along the side wall. Now this is key. Because you want to add an item to the side wall, you need to ensure that you're getting a product that's shot on an angle so you can see a portion of that side panel there. If you grabbed this particular item and you just grabbed it from the kind of front on view, it's not going to scale well on the side wall because you are missing that side section. You need to be able to see that in order for this to work within your 3D design and look more realistic. So just keep that in mind. You always want to grab an item that has a bit of that side angle visible. So now that I have this, I'm going to line up the back leg with the edge of the wall here. I'm going to click on the distort tool, and I'm just going to pull these corners into place until I get this product where I want it to be. Now again, you want to kind of think about where that horizon line is within your design and how that's going to affect the angle of the product within your space. So obviously this does not look realistic. We need to pull this corner up so that the item is sitting in a more realistic position within the design. Pull this down just a smidge, bring this in. And the more you use these tools, you're going to find that it's just easier and easier for you to just quickly adjust these products so that they do fit within your designs properly. Now I'm just trying to get an even amount of space here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this, and then what we're going to do is we will scale this down a little bit and slide it into place. So I'll just slide this up. Now it's currently sitting in front of the chair. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to push this item all the way to the back image. So it sits behind the background image here. And I'm going to put it, and I'm going to bring it forward 1. So now it's sitting in front of the wall, but behind the chair. Oh, we actually need to bring it forward a little bit more because it's currently sitting underneath the floorboards that we added in. So I'll bring it forward again. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so as a final step here, this room's really kind of coming together nicely. So what we want to do now is let's go ahead and add some artwork. Okay, so I'll just grab this for now. Bring this in, scale it down, and again, you're just going to make use of that distort tool. So again, click on the distort tool. Think about where your horizon line is within your design and how that's going to affect your overall product image. So again, if your horizon line is right across the center here, then any portion of your product that is above that should start to angle up so that you are getting a more realistic take on where the positioning of this art piece should be. So again, it's just going to take a little bit of time for you to kind of familiarize yourself with how to use the distort tool. But once you get this going, you're going to find that it's so quick and easy for you to get your artwork and any other items angled appropriately in your 3D designs. So I'm going to apply this. I'm going to scale it down a little bit, and there we go. So now it's sitting against that side wall. So just to reiterate, when it comes to creating your 3D room designs, you can absolutely start including elements into your design boards that will make it look a lot more like your client space. So to begin with, let's just jump back here. Let's see what the original image looked like. This is the original image right here. So if I drag this out, you can see that it's come a long way from the original image to what we ended up creating. So you can add in your own floorboards. You can basically find your flooring in any various color, add that into your design. You can add in windows, you could add in doors, fireplaces, any architectural elements to build out your empty room image so that it closely matches your client's space. When you are grabbing products from a vendor site, check the vendor to see if you can get the product shot on multiple angles, or if they have that 360 option where you can rotate the item around and then basically grab the item shot in the appropriate angle for your design by using our browser clipper. When you're angling rugs on the floor, keep in mind that you can use your floorboards as your guide so that you are putting your rug in a natural position that it would sit in if it was actually within the space. So that'll help you make sure that you're angling the items appropriately. And if you are going to be grabbing items that you want to add to the side walls, you always want to make sure that you've got a little bit of that side panel visible. If you're just grabbing the product from the front view, it will not work. It's not going to look realistic. You need to ensure that you've got a little bit of that side panel showing so that when you are angling it onto the wall, it is giving you a more realistic look. So I hope that these tips have been helpful for building out your 3D room designs. Please go ahead, log into your DesignFiles account, give it a try, let us know what you think. If you're still running into some issues, then just let us know. I'm happy to hop on a one-on-one demo with you. We can go through anything at all where you're feeling a little bit stumped, and I'm sure we can get that sorted out for you so that you can quickly start creating realistic 3D designs like this one here and send those out to your clients. Thanks for watching.